Good morning. Today we'll discuss about the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. See, the Constitution has used certain words like the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. So there is one article called 74 clause 1. In that particular article, both the words the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers were mentioned in the Constitution. It says that there shall be a Prime Minister, there shall be a Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister to aid and advise the President of India. So this is one article which is giving the importance to the Prime Minister. For example, see here, so many times I was talking to you regarding the concept of the parliamentary form of government. But the words parliamentary form of government have not been mentioned in the Constitution. But this is the Article 74 clause 1, which is talking in terms of the parliamentary form of government. So many times I told you. So one of the principles is that there is a real executive, there is a nominal executive. So a real executive is the Prime Minister of India and the nominal executive is the President. So this is the Article 74 clause 1, which is saying very clearly that there shall be a council of ministers headed by the Prime Minister. So this is the beginning of this article. But why exactly this particular group is present? The group is present to aid and advise the President. And it also says very clearly that the President shall act according to such advice. And because of any reason, if the President has any doubts or any suggestions to be given, he may ask the Council of Ministers to reconsider such advice. But after such advice, the President shall act according to such advice. Meaning, this article is bounding the President of India to act on the advice of the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. But see here, I was telling you, Prime Minister is the real executive. But in fact, I should say that it is the Council of Ministers that is considered to be the real executive. But because the Prime Minister is the head of the group, then the Prime Minister is generally considered to be the real executive. So depending on the situation, depending on what you are going to write, you may use either of the statements, no issues. But let me talk to you some points regarding Council of Ministers. Whenever I am using the word council, it is nothing but group of ministers. A group put together is called council. And this council is considered to be the Council of Ministers and who are supposed to function and perform for the welfare of the nation. But kindly remember, as I was telling you in the previous class when I was talking to you about the President of India, every order that is issued by the Government of India will be issued on the name of the President. Every appointment that is made under the Constitution at the central level, all the appointments are made by the President. But the President is always advised by the Prime Minister. And the President is acting on the advice of the Prime Minister. That is the reason why when we are linking between the office of the President and office of the Prime Minister, we always say that Prime Minister is the real executive and the President is the nominal executive. Now I'll open the document. I'll show you some of the points. Let's try to understand the concept of the Council of Ministers today. Right now, look at this. So Article 75 of the Indian Constitution specifies that the Prime Minister is appointed by the President. I'll show you all the articles over a period of time. But before that one, I would like to talk to you regarding something called the Council of Ministers. Wherever I am using the word Council of Ministers, you can look at the screen, please. This is nothing but a group of ministers. In this group, I have the Prime Minister. I may have Deputy prime minister, and followed by the cabinet ministers. How many members are there? We'll see now. And there is somebody called Minister of State, right? And it's called MOS otherwise. And sometimes you will also see Minister of State with independent charge, DENT, independent charge. So these are the various categories of the ministers that are present. And if the prime minister wants, he can appoint somebody as a deputy prime minister, deputy ministers. Even this was existing till the time of Rajiv Gandhi, say for example. But look at this, when I am talking about the prime minister, up to this deputy ministers, everybody put together will become the part of the council of ministers. But kindly remember, the constitution has used only two things. Number one is the council of ministers, and number two is the prime minister. For example, here, when it comes to the office of the deputy prime minister, it is nowhere mentioned in the constitution. It is nowhere mentioned in the constitution. That is the reason why sometimes it may exist and it may not exist. That all depends. That all depends on the interest of the prime minister of the day. I told you sometime back, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was considered to be the first deputy prime minister of India. And after that, we have seen some people as a deputy prime ministers, and the latest one being the Lal Krishna Advani, LK Advani, when Vajpayee was the prime minister of India. And during the complete 10 years of the tenure of Dr. Manmohan Singh, and today under the leadership of Narendra Modi, there is nobody as a deputy prime minister, right? So this will vary from time to time. Hence, deputy prime minister is not mentioned in the constitution. Now, again, if you look at the third one, so there are so many cabinet ministers that are present in India. Kindly see here, when I am talking about a cabinet minister, he is a person who is in charge or completely holding the charge of a particular ministry or the particular portfolio. For example, here there is a finance minister, there is a defense minister, HRD minister. These are all the ministers who are considered to be the cabinet ministers. And a group of ministers who are holding cabinet portfolios put together is called cabinet. And whoever is a member of the cabinet, then he is called a cabinet minister. Next one, below the cabinet minister, to support him, right? So to give assistance to him, we have a concept called Minister of State with the independent charge. Sorry, Minister of State. So wherever you are coming across with the word Minister of State, take it for granted. He is an assistant minister to the cabinet minister. Am I clear? Very, very important. Depending on the size, length, and the subject matter of the concerned cabinet minister, the number of minister of state will vary from cabinet minister to cabinet minister. Maybe in some departments you may have one minister of state, otherwise you may have two members, other may you have three members. There is no limitation with respect to that one. And apart from this, we'll see, kindly see here, whenever we are just using the concept of the minister of state, he has one boss above him, and that boss is called a cabinet minister. But whenever we use the word minister of state with independent charge, kindly remember, immediately above this person there is no cabinet minister, and minister of state with independent charge is directly responsible and answerable to the prime minister of India. That's the reason generally when it comes to the rank and status, minister of state with independent charge is kept above the rank of the minister of state. And when it comes to the deputy ministers, you may have, you may not have. So today, for example, I don't have anybody as a deputy minister, and I don't have anybody as a deputy prime minister. But today, I have four designations in the council of ministers. One is the prime minister, second one is the cabinet ministers, and third one is the minister of state, and fourth one is the minister of state with independent charge. But generally speaking, Whenever I use the word Council of Ministers, look at the screen, please. Whenever I talk about the Council of Ministers, so we are not very sure. We are not very sure what are the various categories of the ministers are present. But whatever may be the category that is present, everybody put together is called the Council of Ministers. Hopefully, I'm clear. You are following me. That is the meaning of the Council of Ministers. And this word Council of Ministers, it is mentioned under Article number 74, Clause 1. Just now I told you, there shall be a Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister to aid and advise the President. So this is the beginning of the Article 74, Clause 1. Okay, we'll see this article after some time, but this is the basic idea. Am I clear? So kindly remember this one, please. Next one. This next one, I'm talking about another point. The Prime Minister may be a member of any house, any of the two houses of the Parliament. What do you mean by this? Simple point. Very frequently asked question in the examination. You have a Prime Minister, and I was telling you in our class number 1 itself, I made it very, very clear. If I am calling somebody as a minister, that minister should be a member of either Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha. This is what is permitted by the constitution. But he is expected to be a member of either of the houses. And I also told you sometimes a person who is not already a member of the parliament can also be appointed as a minister, but within a period of 6 months he has to become a member of either of the houses of the parliament. Then he will be continuing as a minister for quite a long period of time. So these are the points. But the same thing I'm repeating now, maybe a minister or the prime minister. Kindly remember, prime minister is also a minister. But the word prime is making all the difference. Prime in the sense he is considered to be the first among equals. So in this capacity, he is giving the directions to other ministers and he'll be controlling other ministers. Number one. Number two, when it comes to the prime minister, in which house he has to be a member. The general tendency what we follow in India is that the prime minister is expected to be a member of the Lok Sabha. Right? Lok Sabha is nothing but House of People's Representatives. The general idea is that anybody who is the prime minister should have been elected popularly, is a popularly elected leader, meaning should have been elected by the people of the country or the people of a particular constituency. But this is not a compulsion. This is not a compulsion. The constitution is permitting a person can be the prime minister if he is a member of either of the houses of the parliament. So this is number one. That's the reason why, if you look at Dr. Manmohan Singh very recently, he was a member of the Rajya Sabha, but still he was the prime minister. It shows very clearly that the constitution is not stopping any person. It's not stopping any person to be the prime minister of India, though he is a member of the Rajya Sabha. Today, Mr. Narendra Modi is a member of the Lok Sabha, and that is fine. There's no issues. Even with respect to Rajya Sabha, also there shouldn't be any issue. Am I clear? Now, it very frequently asked question in the examination. Kindly remember, he may be a member of either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. There is no issue. Next one, look at this. Okay, and see, just have a look at this one. This, hold on. Yeah, look at this. The Prime Minister may be a member of any of the two houses of the Parliament, right? And now, next one. So, when it comes to the term of the Prime Minister, term means how long he'll be there as a member of the as a Prime Minister. So, that a term is not fixed by the Constitution, is a TERM term. So, that's the reason, for example, see, there were so many incidents in India where a person, after being appointed as a prime minister, he continued either for 13 months or 13 days or 2 years or 5 years or more than that sometimes. So, what is the meaning of this? The constitution has not given any fixed term to the so called the prime minister. But the constitution says very clearly that the prime minister holds the office during the pleasure of the president. I'll show you all the related articles. But the prime minister, so the constitution has not said very clearly about the prime minister holds the office during the pleasure of the president. But the constitution made it very clear that a minister holds office during the pleasure of the president. Since prime minister is also a minister, he is also holding the office during the pleasure of the president. Am I clear? What do you mean by the pleasure, in fact? Pleasure in the sense, as long as the president is really confident that a particular minister is delivering in a fantastic manner and is working for the welfare of the people. And whenever the president feels that this particular person is unfit to be unfit to be a minister, then the president may remove that particular person. But basically, what happens is that generally the presidential office should listen to the advice that is given by the prime minister. That is the reason who should be a minister in reality will be decided by the prime minister. Kindly remember, all ministers, including the prime minister, everybody is appointed by the president of India. This is what the constitution says. So let me say now, under article number 75, clause 1, the prime minister shall be appointed by the president, and the remaining ministers are also appointed by the president on the advice of the prime minister. Meaning it's a clear indication that the president has the choice to appoint somebody as a prime minister, but the president does not have any choice to appoint anybody as a minister. If a minister is being appointed, means that minister is appointed by the president, but but only on the advice of the prime minister. This is what the constitution says. That's the reason once the prime minister is appointed, the president is expected to listen to the advice of the so-called the prime minister, so that the remaining ministers will be appointed, and all the ministers, including the prime minister, put together is called the council of ministers. Then I am saying this particular body is called the real executive, and that real executive is recommending or advising the president of India, and the president is expected to act according to such advice. And if you look at the whole scenario, who is the most important man? Every minister is appointed by the president only on the recommendation that is made by the prime minister. That's the reason why the prime minister is the most important man for the nation. And whoever is being appointed as a minister in that particular group, everybody sits together and takes a decision. Then the decision will be forwarded to the president, and the president will be appending his signature. Then that is going to become a reality. So this is what generally happens. That's the reason why the prime minister is considered to be the real executive. Am I clear? Very, very important, right? Now, next one. Look at this. As long as the prime minister enjoys the majority support in the Lok Sabha, he cannot be removed by the president. See, this is general principle what is followed and what is expected. See, here I would like to just to show one point here, whatever I have written. For example, see here, this particular point. Just now I was talking to you regarding Council of Ministers. I have highlighted Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, and Cabinet Ministers. So, if Deputy Prime Minister is also present, putting him together, whatever I have highlighted here, that is called a cabinet. But if I'm including everybody like this, right? Say for example, Deputy Minister is not there, so I can remove him. But putting all the ministers together, kindly look at this, the highlighted portion. By putting all of them together, then I can call this as a Council of Ministers. Kindly see here. So this is the body which is considered to be cabinet, which is highlighted one. And this one is the Council of Ministers. Am I clear? One, two, one, two. Kindly look at this very clearly. This is the cabinet. This is the Council of Ministers. Cabinet, Council of Ministers. Cabinet, Council of Ministers. Is that okay? Right. So in reality, what happens is that all the decisions are taken in the cabinet. Look at the screen again. So this is the place where all important decisions are taken for India. And this, in fact, this is considered to be the real executive. But kindly remember, the word cabinet was not mentioned in the original constitution. Later, it was added in the article number 352. Through the 44th amendment, it was added. That's a separate issue. But otherwise, the word cabinet is not mentioned in the constitution. But the constitution has mentioned the words like Council of Ministers. Am I clear? Now, we have seen these points. Next, when it comes to the salary of the Prime Minister is decided by the so-called the Parliament from time to time. Next, kindly see here, whenever any minister wants to resign, he will submit the resignation letter to the Prime Minister. So sorry, he will submit the resignation letter to the President. In the similar manner, if the Prime Minister also wants to submit the resignation letter, he has to submit the resignation letter to the President. Am I clear? Now, sometimes what will happen, the Prime Minister may resign or the sitting Prime Minister may die. Reason may be anything. But kindly remember, if the Prime Minister is not there because of any reason, either because of resignation or because of death, then the entire Council of Ministers considered to be dissolved. Very, very important here. Meaning, if the leader is not there, group is also not there. This is called swim or sink together. Am I clear? Next. Next one, we'll see the functions of the Prime Minister. So obviously he is the most important man. So we are discussing from day number one. He has to perform some functions too towards the nation. Look at this. Let's see. The Prime Minister is the leader of the government and he recommends the members to the President who can be appointed as the ministers. The President can appoint only those persons as ministers who are recommended by the Prime Minister. Yes, we have seen. But let me tell you a few points here. When it comes to the Prime Minister or somebody, how exactly the government will be formed. So who will become the Prime Minister? For example, see here, so we are conducting the elections for Lok Sabha, right? And when it comes to Lok Sabha, the number is 543. I'm talking only about the so-called the elected members. Remaining two members may be coming later. But once the elections are over, any party which gets minimum 272. Look at this very clearly. I'm highlighting any party which gets 272 seats out of this 543, it will claim to form the government. So now this 272 plus members, it may be 272, it may be 273, 300 or 400, we are least bothered. But minimum requirement is the 272. And that this 272 members will sit together and they will elect a person as their leaders. Elect a person as their leader. So this person is considered to be the leader of the majority party in the Lok Sabha. Hopefully you are following very clearly. This is a very, very important point. We are trying to know how exactly the government will be formed in India. Once the elections are over, any party which gets minimum 272 plus, it will sit together and they will elect a leader. And who is this person? Where from he is coming? This leader may be a member of the Lok Sabha, or he may be a member of the Rajya Sabha. Sorry. He, he may be a member of the Lok Sabha, or he may be a member of the Rajya Sabha, or he may not be a member, or he may not be a member of either of the houses. Very important. Either he can be a member of the Lok Sabha, or he can be a member of the Rajya Sabha, or he need not be a member of the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. Look at this. For example, today you have Mr. Narendra Modi as the Prime Minister. He was elected as the leader of this majority party, right? Meaning the Prime Minister today is a member of the Lok Sabha. There is no problem with respect to the Constitution. Otherwise, anybody from Rajya Sabha can also be elected as the leader of the majority party. Example, Dr. Manmohan Singh. And when it comes to the third point, this particular leader need not be a member of either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Example, P.V. Narasimha Rao. I told you this story already. When P.V. Narasimha Rao becomes the Prime Minister of India, he was neither a member of the Lok Sabha nor a member of the Rajya Sabha. But later, he got elected to the Lok Sabha. So meaning constitution is permitting that anybody who is neither a member of the Lok Sabha nor a member of Rajya Sabha can be appointed as a minister. A minister may also be a prime minister. Now, this particular person will be elected as the leader, and this 272 plus. So this particular group will be writing a letter, to the President of India, intimating the president, saying that, so he is our leader. Please appoint this particular leader as the Prime Minister. So this is the request that is made. His name will be intimated to the President, and the group is requesting the President of India to appoint the same person as the Prime Minister. Since this is the majority party in the Lok Sabha, the President should not have any objections on this one. And immediately, the President will be appointing the same person as the Prime Minister of India. This is how the concept of the parliamentary form of government is functioning in India. Am I clear? So this is exactly what exactly happens. Hopefully you are clear. And now the point is that once this particular person is appointed as the Prime Minister by the President of India, then the Prime Minister will recommend it to the President who should be appointed as the ministers. And accordingly, only the same people will be appointed as the ministers by the President. So this is how the parliamentary form of government will function. This is how the real executive is the Prime Minister and nominal executive will be the President of India. Am I clear? Next, when it comes to the Prime Minister, he will allocate various portfolios among the ministers. Again, in reality, this is the job that is done by the so-called the President of India under Article number 77 of the Constitution. But in fact, who is the person and what portfolio should be given to him will be in reality decided by the Prime Minister of India. Next one, the Prime Minister reshuffles the portfolios. Recently also we have seen in the reshuffling of the portfolios, the person who is holding one portfolio, he will be given some other portfolio. Right, for example, here, this is the railway minister by name Sadananda Gowda. In the reshuffling, he has been shifted to the law ministry. That is called the reshuffling the portfolios. Next, the prime minister may ask a minister to submit the resignation letter. Meaning is simple. The constitution has given a free hand to the prime minister of India to pick up his own team. And if the prime minister feels that a particular person is really efficient, then the person may be appointed as a minister. But the minister will be holding the office as long as the prime minister thinks that he is fit and efficient person to perform the responsibilities. But the moment, but the moment the prime minister comes to know that he is unfit to be in the council of ministers, immediately the prime minister will ask him to submit the resignation letter. Right? Next, the prime minister may also advise the president to remove a minister. Under the constitution, a minister is removed by the president of India, but on the advice of the prime minister. In the similar manner, the prime minister presides over the meetings of the council of ministers. Council of ministers means, I told you already, in reality it is the cabinet, and the cabinet meetings are presided over by the prime minister, and they'll be taking the decisions, and that decision will be forwarded to the president. Next, the prime minister is considered to be the principal channel of communication between the president and the council of ministers. What do you mean by this? This is one important point. See, here generally, so whenever I am saying something, that the prime minister is the real executive and the president is the nominal executive. It does not mean that he'll be kept in dark every time. But the constitution is asking the prime minister of India to communicate everything to the president of India very, very periodically. That's the reason why sometimes you will come across in the newspapers the prime minister has made a formal visit to the Rashtrapati Bhavan. So after going over there, the prime minister is updating the president of India regarding the things that are happening and the latest developments that are taking place in India. Hence, the any proposal will not go to the president of India after the decision has been taken in the cabinet. So the president is expected to be well informed by the cabinet, and that cabinet is headed by the prime minister. That's the reason why, in order to make the president completely not a nominal executive, the constitution is asking the prime minister to communicate very frequently to the president of India. This is mentioned under article number 78 of the Indian constitution. Under this one, it shall be the duty of the prime minister. It shall be the duty of the prime minister to communicate to the president regarding all the decisions that are related to legislation and administration. If something is happening in the administration, let it be informed to the president of India. You may be taking certain decisions with respect to passing the new legislations, and before you introduce something in the parliament, or before you come to a final conclusion, let the president be also be intimated. Let the president be intimated regarding this one, so that any proposal, once it goes to the president of India, he may not be feeling that he is looking at the issue for the first time. This is what is expected by the constitution, right? And every minister is not expected to go and meet the Rashtrapati, and every minister is not expected to brief the president of India. But the constitution is asking the prime minister to go and talk to the president of India very periodically and update him. But if the president of India wants any clarification from the government, then he may call either the prime minister, or he may call any minister to come to the Rashtrapati Bhavan and brief him. Recently, what I've seen with respect to Land Acquisition Amendment Act, The government has taken a decision and it requested the President of India to issue an ordinance. But before issuing the ordinance, the news is that the President asked the Finance Minister to come to the Rashtrapati Bhavan and explain him why the ordinance is being issued on this particular matter. So he has every right. Then accordingly, the government is expected to give the answer to the President of India. After all, these are the ministers who are all appointed by the president. Am I clear? Next one. Next one. Look at this. This is another article. Just now I told you. Under Article number 78 of the Indian Constitution, it shall be the duty of the Prime Minister to communicate to the President regarding all the decisions regarding all the decisions of the Council of Ministers related to the administration of the affairs of the government and the proposals for the legislations. Proposal means what? Bills. Before a bill goes to the parliament, generally if it is a public bill, they will take the decision in the cabinet. And even that proposal is also expected to reach the President of India through the Prime Minister. Next one. Look at this. The Prime Minister advises the President with respect to the appointment of all important offices. Every important office we are going to discuss over a period of time. The Prime Minister advises the President with respect to the appointment of Attorney General, Chairman and members of the Union Public Service Commission, Comptroller and Auditor General, Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners, Chairman and members of the Finance Commission, and so on and so forth. Kindly remember, when I was talking to you regarding the powers of the President of India, during that time I told you the President is appointing so many people in the country at the higher level. And every important appointment that is made in India is made by the President on the advice that is given by the so-called the Prime Minister. So this is the point I wanted to make here. Now, next one. Look at this. The Prime Minister advises the President with regard to the summoning and proroguing the Parliament. I told you what is the meaning of this. Is it okay? The meaning, the highest responsibility is to advise the President of India to what to do. And the Prime Minister also recommends the President for the dissolution of the Lok Sabha. And when it comes to the Prime Minister, he is the chairman of the Planning Commission. He is the chairman for, of course, instead of Planning Commission, today I have Niti Ayog. But even for that also, the Prime Minister is the ex officio chairman. And I also have the National Development Council, National Integration Council, National Population Council, Interstate Council, and a National Water Resource Council. So whatever maybe we are having here, so the chairman for these commissions is the Prime Minister. And for discharging his responsibilities, the Prime Minister is assisted by a separate office that is called the Prime Minister's Office. Right? Next, when it comes to the Council of Ministers, here look at this. The Council of Ministers is considered to be the real executive authority. I told you the points now. The Council of Ministers is headed by the Prime Minister. Article 74, Clause 1, I told you. There shall be a Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister to aid and advise the President. Now look at this. So generally, these are the categories. The Cabinet Ministers, Ministers of State, and the Deputy Ministers. Kindly see here, look at this, another point. A Minister of State is either given an independent charge or given the charge of a department headed by a Cabinet Minister. Now, a Deputy Minister, if present, he will be assisting either a Cabinet Minister or a Minister of State. Am I clear? Next. Look at this. Article number 75, Clause 1 makes it very clear that the Prime Minister is appointed by the President And other ministers are also appointed by the president on the advice of the prime minister. I told you these points just now. The president appoints only those persons as the ministers who are recommended by the prime minister. Next one, a minister must be a member of either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Yes, we know this point. If a person who is not a member of either of the houses of the parliament is appointed as a minister, he must become a member of the parliament within a period of 6 months. Everything is mentioned in the constitution. Look at this. When it comes to the oath of office is administered by the president. Important. Maybe the prime minister, maybe the cabinet minister, maybe a minister of state or minister of state with independent charge. Everybody will be administered oath of office by the president. Look at this. So what should be the strength of the council of ministers? Look at this, very, very important. Originally, the constitution has not mentioned any strength. Strength means how many members can be there in the council of ministers. But in the year 2003, through the 91st amendment of the constitution, a new concept has been added. Right? Look at this. Now I'll highlight this point. Look at this one. The strength of the council of ministers, of course including the prime minister, should not exceed 15% of the total strength of the Lok Sabha. Kindly remember, very important, it should not exceed 15% of the total strength of the Lok Sabha. Very, very clearly you should understand this. Here I am not using the word parliament, but I am using the word Lok Sabha. Am I clear? Now, this restriction was imposed to the 91st Amendment Act of 2003 by amending the Article 75 of the Indian Constitution. This is what happened. And similarly, when it comes to the so-called the salary here, okay, just a minute, wait a minute again, I'll be just back. Now, look at the salary here, the salary of the ministers. See, we have discussed some points regarding the prime minister, and of course, every point with respect to the prime minister is also related to the minister. Look at this. So, the salary of the minister is decided by the parliament from time to time. Okay, look at this. A minister gets a salary and allowances of that which are payable to the member of the parliament. Additionally, he gets a sumptuary allowance according to his rank, and he will be given free accommodation, traveling allowance, and other medical facilities. They are enjoying certain benefits here. Good. Functions. When it comes to functions here, look at this. What are the functions of a minister? A minister is really in charge. In fact, he is in charge for the so-called his portfolio, and accordingly he will be functioning. That's the reason if you look at home ministry or defense ministry, let anything happen within his department, he is answerable to the so-called the prime minister, he is answerable to the president, and finally he is answerable to the so-called the people of the nation. So this is the point. Okay, look at this once again. See, here under article number 75 clause 1, we have understood that prime minister is appointed by the president And other ministers are also appointed by the president, but only on the advice of the prime minister. Now I have some article called 75 clause 2. Under this one, a minister is individually responsible to the president. It means a minister holds office during the pleasure of the president. A minister submits a resignation to the president. The president can remove a minister only on the advice of the prime minister. Let's try to understand what is the meaning of this. When I say a minister is individually responsible to the president means whenever the president has any doubts with respect to the efficiency or working of any minister, the president has every right to remove this person. But kindly remember, at the time of appointment of a minister, the president is depending on the advice that is given by the prime minister. That's the reason why the president is not expected to take any action against any minister without the recommendation of the prime minister. Kindly remember, there is always there is always a link between the president and other ministers, and that link is nothing but the prime minister. Hence, whenever I say a minister is individually responsible to the president means in reality he is responsible to the prime minister. And whenever I say a minister holds office during the pleasure of the president, in reality this is the pleasure of the prime minister. A minister submits a resignation letter to the president of India. In reality, the minister is handing over his resignation letter to the prime minister. What do you mean by this? So when you are submitting the resignation letter, the minister will be mentioning that he'll be addressing to the president of India regarding his resignation. But in reality, that letter will be handed over to the prime minister. And if the prime minister is seriously interested to accept the resignation letter, then he will forward the resignation letter to the president. Because a minister's resignation letter is coming to the Rashtrapati through the prime minister, then only the president will accept the resignation letter. Otherwise, the president will not accept the resignation letter. That's the reason while reading the newspapers, you will come across saying that a minister has submitted the resignation to the prime minister. But in reality, the constitution is asking a minister to submit to the president. But if the prime minister forwards it to the president of India, then only the president will be accepting it. Am I clear? This is called the individual responsibility. Now, next one. When it comes to the next article, this is Article 75, Clause 3. It says very clearly that the Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. What do you mean by this? Just now I told you one point. Any political party which has the support of minimum 272 members in the Lok Sabha can form the government and it can continue the government. Now the question of collective responsibility means how long the government will continue in the powers. The government continues in the power as long as that political party enjoys the majority in the Lok Sabha. That's the basic point. Hopefully I'm clear. Because of any reason, some of the members may get separated from the political party, or if it is a coalition government, some of the members may try to withdraw its support. So during that time, what happens is that there is every possibility that the government may collapse. That's the reason we are using the terms. The Council of Ministers shall be collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. Meaning, if you have the majority, you please form the government. If you don't have the majority, you please step down. This is called collective responsibility. This is called swim or sink together. Am I clear? Next one. Next one is let me open the document. Now look at this. The Council of Ministers advised the President to dissolve the Lok Sabha and the decision of the cabinet is binding on every minister. And when it comes to the deputy prime minister, we have already seen this is not mentioned in the constitution. The deputy prime minister is appointed generally for the political reasons. Right? If you look at these names here, Sardar Vallabhai Patel, right, followed by this later Morarji Desai, Charan Singh, Babu Jagjivan Ram, Devi Lal, L.K. Advani. So they all have served as a deputy prime minister so far. Look at this. The Council of Ministers is a constitutional body that is dealt in detail with the Articles 74 and 75 of the Indian Constitution. The word cabinet is not originally mentioned in the Constitution, but it was added in Article 352 in the year 1978 through the 44th Amendment. Just to remember this particular word, particular line here. And when I'm discussing with you, when I will discuss with you regarding emergency provisions, then I will tell you how and why exactly the word cabinet was added to the Constitution to Article number 352. Okay. If you look at the Prime Ministers of India, I have just given a list, and this list is very much present in our notes. Kindly have a look at this. And we started the journey with Jawaharlal Nehru, and today we are continuing with the Dr. Manmohan Singh. So I need to update here. So this is up to the year 2014, and after this we have Mr. Narendra Modi. Okay, this is Narendra Modi. Everybody knows this. So 2014. So let me add it till date. Okay. So this is a gentleman who is continuing now. So when it comes to this miscellaneous points are there, kindly have a look at this. This is Charan Singh of Bharatiya Lokdal is the only prime minister under whose regime parliament never met. I will tell you this point, but I am talking about the emergency provisions. Why during the Charan Singh's time there was no parliament meeting has been taken place. Guljari Lal Nanda was the only interim prime minister for 2 times. He was the only person to be the interim prime minister for 2 times. Just to go through these miscellaneous points, please. 1 second. Yeah. Look at this. Sardar Vallabhai Patel was the first deputy prime minister of India. Morarji Desai was the first deputy prime minister after the commencement of the constitution. Right? Next. Devi Lal was the deputy prime minister for 2 times. These are all the facts. Just have a look at this one. It happened in 1989 and 1990, and he served in this position under the two prime ministers, VP Singh followed by the Chandrasekhar. L.K. Advani, so far he was the last deputy prime minister. Rajiv Gandhi was the youngest. Guljari Lal Nanda was the prime minister who lived for a long period. These are the general things, please. You can just go through this. The shortest lived prime minister was the Rajiv Gandhi. And if you look at the next one here, again, this particular point I'll be telling you when I will talk to you regarding the emergency. So during this emergency time, Indira Gandhi was forced to step down. In fact, this is the basic reason for declaring the emergency in India. Indira Gandhi was asked to step down by the Allahabad High Court, and the judgment was delivered by Justice Sinha. And because of that reason only, in the year 1975, the emergency was declared. Okay, and these are all the simple points. Nehru fought the elections from the parliament constituency, and it was from Allahabad, that is Pulur from Allahabad. So during the elections of 1977, the Janata Party secured 301. Okay, just go through these points, miscellaneous points. Am I clear? Next, in the year 1989, Congress Party secured 198 seats, and the National Front 142 seats. And VP Singh swore in as a prime minister after Rajiv Gandhi refused to form the government. So these all the points I'll tell you when I am talking about certain issue areas. Okay. So this is about the Council of Ministers, and during our review session, I'll try to talk to you regarding each and every article that is associated, regarding the president, regarding vice president, regarding the prime minister. Each and every article I'll touch it, and we'll have a this review of this. Next, so tomorrow we'll meet again at 5 o'clock, and thank you so much for being with me this morning. I wish you all the very, very best. Have a fantastic day.